All right, so welcome to another rapid fire business story of the week. This is part of our rapid fire series, and today we have an incredible guest with us, someone who's achieved extraordinary success and is here to share their unique business journey with you. We're excited to hear their insights, so let's welcome them to the show. All right, so as this is our rapid fire series, we've got 1 minute or less to answer each question. So, in a minute or less, give us the elevator pitch to your story and your life. Go.
Lorne Michaels, my former boss at Saturday Night Live, used to say the show is not ready because it's finished. The show's ready because it's 11:30 on Saturday night. So I started my career in my 20s working behind the scenes at Saturday Night Live. And so I learned to make deadlines under extraordinary pressure. And now I help some of the leading pharmaceutical companies and CEOs of Fortune 500 companies communicate under pressure and on a deadline.
So that's fascinating, and I would love to dig a little bit deeper. So tell us a bit more about what you're working on today that you're most passionate about and believe will have the biggest impact.
Well, I have several different streams. I am a communication trainer of some of the leading pharmaceutical companies in the world. So I help leading scientists and doctors, clinicians, physicians communicate more effectively under pressure and help them gain confidence so that when they go in front of their peers at medical conferences and also in front of the public, that they are sharp, on time, clear, and they're communicating scientific ideas to the point so that people really hear it. Because it's not just what you say, it's if people really understand what you say. I also host a podcast as well. I am also do about 60 keynotes a year on leadership and signature mentorship, which is a unique way I help intergenerational teams mentor each other, because every team needs high support, high safety, and high expectations to thrive for better outcomes.
So this next question is one that every entrepreneur has dealt with. Tell us about a time where you failed. We often say failure is the first step to success. So think about a time where you failed in the past. What happened? What did you learn from it?
It wasn't so much a failure, but at the time it was devastating. I was working for Saturday Night Live and 9/11 happened, and I ended up getting laid off with about 30% of the workforce. And I'm from Canada, so I had to come back home. I had my tail between my legs. I was devastated that this dream job in my mid-20s was over. And what I realized was that the worst thing that can happen to you in business is often the best thing. The crisis becomes the opportunity, as the Chinese ideogram speaks of. And so by having to actually leave the safety of this famous company, I ended up starting my own company, directing TV commercials and music videos. And what it did was it pushed me to a whole other level. So the real takeaway for you is that regardless of what happens with you in business, if it's a failure or it's rejection, it's just a temporary setback. I really believe that rejection is redirection. Rejection is redirection, and you're being redirected to bigger and better things, and you're falling upwards. So by losing my job at Saturday Night Live in my mid-20s because of a terrorist attack, that actually led to where I am today, which is something I could not have foreseen all those years ago.
That's fascinating. That's fascinating. And we're definitely going to have you back on the show to dive deeper into each of these questions. But for now, one thing that I often say is, and I tell this to my employees and the people who work with me and for me all the time, is that when a tree falls in the forest, if nobody hears it, did that tree actually fall? This brings me to this next question. How do you make sure that all of these amazing projects that you're involved in get noticed? What marketing and advertising methods have worked best for you? You've got a minute. Let's go.
My podcast. Actually, I had two podcasts, but recently I decided to just focus on one, because I think entrepreneurs, what I've learned as well as a work in progress myself, is focus is the most important part of entrepreneurship. So I have found that having a podcast has built referrals, number one. It's given me reach within a community, which for me is mid-sized business owners. And three, having a podcast has improved my communication skills. So it makes me walk my talk because I often teach other people how to communicate in different environments. So number one, marketing and sales tool that's helped me grow my business as an entrepreneur, as a trainer, as a professional speaker, facilitator, and a podcaster is starting my own podcast.
That was so awesome. We're definitely going to dive deeper into this on a later show. And as we approach our last question, before we ask people how people can get a hold of you, how people can reach you, learn more about the work that you're doing in your company, and we will include all that information in the show notes. What I wanted to ask you is, what is one piece of advice that you would offer to your younger self, to our audience, and to somebody, especially somebody who's just starting out in the same niche that you're in, but just doesn't know how to start or get going? Amazing stuff. We're going to have to thank our guest.
I mentioned it earlier, and it's worth repeating, is rejection is redirection. So the things that I thought in my 20s, which threw me for a loop and made me even feel depressed for a certain time frame, and I resented those things, those losses would ultimately become the foundational push that I needed to move to new heights and in new directions. And I would say that's for my professional life and my personal life. Personal development is leadership development. And so by finding the kernel of opportunity in every crisis that you have, every time you're rejected, ask yourself, what lessons can I take from this rejection? And if you give yourself a moment to journal and write out that question, you're going to find answers in a shorter time than you think. And people and opportunities are going to come into your life if you're open and positive that are going to push you to new heights. So rejection is always redirection in business, entrepreneurship, and in your life.
Today for being a guest on Business Story of the Week. And before we cut out on this episode, I wanted to ask you, how can people get a hold of you? How can people learn more about what you're doing? And how do people engage with you? And we will transcribe this and put it in the show notes for everybody to find.
You could reach me through my website, which is easy, jamiemason.cohen.com, or you can listen to my podcast, Signature Leadership by Jamie Mason Cohen.
All right, amazing. So you did it. Thank you for being a guest on the show today. Let me tell you what you can expect next. So what we're going to do is we're going to take all this, we're going to cut it into an episode. It will go on the Business Story of the Week page. So make sure you go on Apple Podcasts, review us, like us, go on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to us on Spotify, and this will come out in the next 30 days or so, depending on our workload and how many shows we have. We have had a lot of interest in the show lately, so we may be a little backed up, but the show will get out. In the meanwhile, we will send you clips that feel free to share on social. Also, the full episode, feel free to share any way that you like. The content is yours to share and put out there. We just ask that you mark us and tag us in the notes if you do. So in the copy, put hashtag Business Story of the Week. Link back to us. We would appreciate that. And if you think that you might be interested in doing more podcasts, live ones and studio ones, Zoom ones, Riverside ones, there's a whole host of shows that likely if you did this one and succeeded, you would probably be really great at, and a great way of getting your message out. So your host will talk to you about potentially getting you booked on a strategy call for a Business Story of the Week's sister company, Podcast Cola, or becoming a YouTube influencer through Viral Mirage. Thanks again for being a part of this. Looking forward to working with you.